I've interviewed FBI agent Tyrone Powers, who talked about how they would frame people, the different criminal things that they would do. Tulia, Texas, 56 black people. No criminal record, no drug paraphernalia, no nothing. On the word of one corrupt cop, gave them all 20 to 90 years in prison. Now you think about that. Houston Crime Lab, thousands framed indiscriminately. The police chief had to admit it because his job's on the line. He's claiming, oh, I'm going to fix that problem. It's equivalent of Hermann Goering, promising to stop what Hitler was up to. This is amazing, ladies and gentlemen. So this is why we restrict the scope and size of government and its power over us in our lives. Because we know there's criminals on the street, we know there's bad people, but they don't have the massive mechanisms, the machinery of government and military and militarized police and prison complexes to oppress at levels never before seen. Last century, 200 million killed by government. 200 million killed. Millions of American Indians, Native Americans killed in this country. So don't tell me we shouldn't have a concern when the most draconian legislation in the history of the world, dwarfing Byzantine Spain and France, is rolled out against the people. Now, I could list the crimes. I could list the crimes of the FBI, the Defense Department, state police, local police, all day long. My point is, history shows us that we must watch and we must control and we must limit powerful men, because power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I challenge members of this distinguished body to be part of history, to not abstain, to get out on the field in your life, and you'll truly be alive. To not sell out to this corrupt system. You know, I spoke right before Ron Paul just a few weeks ago, right outside Austin. He talked about how his poll numbers just go up and up and up, and the support just gets greater and greater and greater as he resists all of this, and as he says no to this, and as he throws the lobbyist out of his office. The truth is, when the whole world's sold out, you guys are going to get more power out of not going with the system. This thing is in terminal velocity. This thing is falling down around itself. The corruption, the comprehensive annual financial reports, the scams. Now, got about 9 minutes left. I'm going to try to go through these points because they're all very, very important. Section 213 of the First Patriot Act lets them break in your house or any business and take whatever they want or plant whatever they want and not tell you for 6 months they were there, and they're administrative. They're rubber stamps. They aren't for Billy Bob's house because we think he has this under the Fourth Amendment. They're for everybody. They're for whole classes of people. And now under the new Patriot Act, they have sections where they say our officers need not even need these administrative subpoenas or warrants. They can just carte blanche go anywhere they want for any crime or suspected crime. And the spokesman for the Justice Department just a few months ago, after Ashcroft admitted, okay, there is a Patriot Act too, went before the House and Senate, and this was in the news, in the Associated Press, and said, well, yeah, we're going to use this in all crimes, all drug crimes, everything. Misdemeanors, third-degree felonies, everything. That's on the record. U.S. attorneys, deputy attorneys, assistant attorneys, all these people, they're saying, yeah, we're going to use this for everything. They are using it for everything. The Victory Act, which is a continual salvo in this attack on the American people, clearly states that any possession of a controlled substance is an act of terrorism under Section 802, pointing back to that enacting clause. Well, it endangers human life. It's a weapon of mass destruction. They've actually got articles in the news about, oh yeah, they're charging people with weapons of mass destruction because they had marijuana. We don't want to be part of this. This is crazy. People disappearing in the middle of the night. I mean, what did Alexander Solzhenitsyn say in Gulag Archipelago? Oh, how we burned in the camps later, wishing that when the secret police went out at night to come to our doors, we would have met them. Met them downstairs with pokers and axes and daggers. America is a great country full of great people, and it deserves better than what's happening. And I personally monitor every day the news wires, Reuters, AP, AFP. I spend 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night, and I have several people that work for me that do the same thing. And I mean, it's well in excess of 400 cities and towns. It's now 4 states. I mean, it's been in 140, 170 for, what, 6 months in the news? More propaganda Can't the press get anything right? Can't this controlled corporate whore machine get anything right? Now, 10th Amendment, very important subject. During abolition, that started in around 1810 or so, there were cities, there were towns, there were states that were free. And they said no to the federal government in the North and the government in the South, and they were safe havens for human beings that didn't want to be in bondage and had the courage to flee and risk their lives. It is so American for local governments to stand up to the tyranny of evil men and say no. That is our place, that is our job. And these arguments are baseless, and they are the arguments of liars and tyrants and sycophants that beg at the hand of this global cess system. So again, be part of history. Be part of history and stand up and do something right and don't abstain. Vote for the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. That shows us how far we've gone, how far we've slid down into the abyss, into the night, into the darkness, that it's a radical thing for conservative and liberal cities. Conservative states like Alaska, liberal states like Hawaii. It's radical for them to come out and say, you can't secretly arrest people, you got to have warrants to bust in houses. It goes on and on. There's this argument, well, our police officers get in trouble not following orders, not doing what the feds tell them. The feds, my friends, don't tell the sheriff and the city and the police chief what to do. And that's not debatable. They can try, but it's a fraud. And it goes back. It goes back to the 10th Amendment time and time again. And it's clear. It's clear. The Nuremberg trials showed this. That you do not have to follow an unlawful criminal order. Blow that person's head off and stick him in an oven. No, you don't have to. Torture these Vietnamese women to get answers from them. No, I'm not going to do it. Take this smallpox inoculation. We said so, police officer. 99+% have said no. They're starting to get wise. You can't stop people getting wise. It's happening all over the place. The tyranny's too great. So police aren't going to get in trouble. But the problem is, the reason they are getting in trouble, and then the feds come in and federalize cities in the name of stopping a problem that they cause, violation of civil liberties and our God-given rights that are enshrined in the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. If the police just knew the Constitution, and they taught the Bill of Rights again, and that's why I like this resolution, it talks about that, celebrating a Bill of Rights culture, knowing what our liberties and freedoms are, having workshops for city employees and police, and having a trust again in the community. That's what we need, and that's all we're asking you to do, is to do something right, stand up for humanity. Now, there's a lot of talk about democracy here this evening. And it's very important to understand that we're a country that has a rule of law. And in a democracy, a pure democracy, when the Greeks would tally up the stones, they'd say, okay, we're going to kill this guy because we don't like what he's been saying. The majority says so. And they'd go throw him off a cliff. And a lot of the great philosophers. It's two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner. That's what a democracy is. We need a republic, which is a limited democracy. Where just because a bunch of people under fear, when the dictator's carrying out terrorist attacks to scare the people into submission, can't stampede off the cliff and round up Arabs or Muslims or Christians or people's land they want. That's what freedom's all about, is protecting everybody. And that's what our beautiful republic does. So please, this is a big step. This is standing up and saying no to this tyranny. This is not just some frivolous resolution that does nothing. This is historical. People all over the country coming together and rediscovering their liberties and freedoms and interfacing with their local government and saying, hey, be part of this solution so that we can have a safe and happy and vibrant community where people can grow and live and learn.